Well, welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast. Kyle here back with Tom and Ed, and we're almost done our yearly countdown, but we couldn't stop this whole thing without talking about 1993, guys. Ed, 1993, another great year?
Player, 1993 is yet another great year. And this is a interesting episode for me because this episode and next episode, most of the episodes we've talked about, I lived through it. And I mean, technically, yes, I was alive during 93, but a lot of my music super standom, I think, really began in 94. So like all the albums we've talked about, I remember every single time period. I remember living through it. I remember the albums debuting. I remember the videos debuting on Video Soul and BET. But 93 and 92 will be the first years where I listened to the big albums because I've always been a music fan. But a lot of the more lesser known albums, I heard these years after the fact. So I had to go back and do my research on some of these. So this year and next week's episode are the two that I didn't quite live through. I lived through, but I wasn't in the moment. So it's going to be fun even for me to kind of revisit some of these albums because it might be some stuff that even your boy hasn't heard. And that's got to be tricky when you get one over on this player.
Mm-hmm. I was literally 9 going on 10. Kyle, I think you were definitely in diapers at this point, weren't you?
Yeah, they were powdering that booty.
I mean, we might learn something today, guys. I was doing the collage earlier in the day, and man, some albums that we can consider classics. So we'll get into all of that. But Tom, we got a couple of shout outs that we want to give out here. I got one, and then I'll let you do it. We got to give a quick shout out to Lance Romance. He's in the building. Ed apparently says he's like big. So I got to Google him after.
For the youngest who don't know, just hit Google. He is a well-known dancer in the hip-hop community, so I'll leave it at that. But no, he's done this thing. Old hip-hop heads like me know the name. So shout out to the homie in the chat.
So we got our family in the house. I'm on here. Tar Heels fan, Damon Dunn, way past your bedtime, son. We got Jonathan D. We got our boy Slick Partner on here, Lawrence, Nicolette Carney in the house. Watch These is in the house. That dude has like every album and CD.
Yes,
he does. It's impressive. So it's always good that our family shows up and represents for us.
And can I give a couple of birthday shout outs here? So I think it was Sade's birthday. I think it was today, maybe yesterday. And then Aaliyah as well. She has a birthday anniversary.
Aaliyah. Shout out to Aaliyah for her birthday. Shaquille Perry, I know you're celebrating. Guys, I want to hit you with this real quick because we love Aaliyah. What is your top 3 Aaliyah songs, just off the top of your head?
Oh my God!
Favorite.
Okay, I'll just do the top 3 that hit me immediately.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone will be like, "Oh, you forgot," but just off the top. The Dr. Dolittle song, of course.
Yeah.
Are You That Somebody? I'll go One in a Million. And as weird as it is, because this became a favorite way after the fact, I Miss You. I love that song.
Wow. I'll go Dr. Dolittle song, Rock the Boat.
Because Rock the Boat. I forgot Rock the Boat.
Rock the Boat is crazy. And then I'll go 4-Page Letter.
Yes.
I'll go 4-Page Letter as my third.
I'm gonna do Rock the Boat. I'm gonna do 4-Page Letter, and I'm gonna do Dr. Dolittle song. I just feel that all 3 of those songs were just so groundbreaking in that moment. Yeah. We don't need to expand further because this is 93, but shout out to Aaliyah. Shaquille, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So 1993, we've done our New Jack Swing episode already. So we kind of talked about this, but Ed, 1993, this is quite a transitional year for R&B. You have people like Jodeci. They stepped away from that New Jack Swing sound that they had on their first album. You have Janet Jackson with a phenomenal album. Tevin Campbell still doing a little bit of that New Jack, but really starting to adapt and adopt Babyface and L.A. Reid's sound, that LaFace sound.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great music here, Ed. Where do we begin?
Well, when you start at 93, and we'll talk about this again in 92 next week, this is the era where you really see R&B breaking away from New Jack Swing, because New Jack Swing had dominated for years and years. But this is the time where we're getting a breath of fresh air. and we're seeing some of the bigger players moving away from the sound. And that's when you can always tell the tonal shift, because when you have a new artist that comes in and embraces a new sound, and then the veterans moving away from that sound. We'll talk about Janet in particular in a minute, but a lot of times Janet particularly has been labeled with, if not being the person to start the elements of New Jack Swing. But the album that she had in 93 was a complete shift away from that. And that more soulful sound is kind of what fueled her sound going forward for the next 2 years, going into Velvet Rope and some of those other albums. And a lot of the big hitters today that we'll discuss, Jodeci and Toni, they're moving away from that sound. And that's why we're seeing this big shift to a brand new sound. 93 was really a groundbreaking year, because we're hearing the old be left behind, because New Jack Swing, as much as everybody loves it in 2021, it was getting played out in 92, 93. Trust me. So by then, we're seeing a new sound, new faces, and new artists starting to emerge. So it was a very exciting time.
So, I mean, we got to start off, Ed, then. We'll talk about this Janet album. I think at one point, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, did you not want to be the hands on that album cover?
Oh, my God. Calm down.
Let me ask you this, Ed. I don't remember. I was like 9 years old. How controversial was that at the time?
It was very, because this was around the time where Janet's sexuality started to come into play. And I know in 2021, it's like everybody's living their best whole life. And I know it's all good. But in 93, wholesome Janet, who even, I mean, she's always had the Miss Janet If You're Nasty, and she always did a little bit. But to go straight up sensual as she did on this album was quite a little shock. But she did it in a classy way. It wasn't gross or anything, but she was still at that time considered, little Janet, our little Kenny from Good Times. To see her growing up into this, some people were weirded out about it. I remember a little bit of the controversy, but it was a growth that she needed in the evolution. So it was, little people were side-eyeing just because of the era. As you can tell, it worked very well. And yeah, brothers wanted to be those hands.
Tom, do you know the song That's the Way Love Goes?
Oh, man. Believe it or not, that's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Great song. Yep.
Super smooth.
Yep.
Just laid back. I love to put that one on. It just puts me in a good mood. Amazing song, Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the comments here, Ed. Some people think that album is overrated. I disagree with that.
I will say this, though. I do think it's, I don't know if overrated is the right word. I do think that its relevance has kind of been elevated a little bit too high. It's a great album. I don't think I might not even put it in my top 3, but that's just how good her discography is. It's a great album. It's a beloved album to this day. If you were around in 93 or so, you love this album. This is another one of those albums that we talked about last week with Boyz II Men and TLC. Everybody had this Janet album. So it's a beloved album. It might be overrated in the sense that I don't think it's her best work. It's one of her best, but I think she outdid it 2 or 3 times over.
Can't forget about the song Anytime, Any Place. I love that song.
That's one of my favorite Janet songs right there.
Tom, I'm looking at the track listing here. Every other song is a 5-second interlude. Your thoughts on this?
I think we covered that with the Jodeci album. It's just a little annoying. It just hurts the flow a bit. Because we always talk about those albums you can put on from front to back and not have to skip.
Yeah.
To me, when I'm in my zone, I don't want to have to, deal with that. That's my personal opinion. I don't know how you felt about it, Ed.
No, I'm feeling you. And that's why, to me, it's not flawless as sometimes as a legacy pretends that it is. It's a very good album with very good songs. Also a very long album with a lot of stuff that I skip on.
Well, to be fair, Ed, was the X-Men cartoon even out in 1993?
Yeah, X-Men was out in 93.
Because you got to think, now in 2021, there's so many forms of entertainment, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Back in 93, maybe people needed those 3-second interludes to keep entertained. Power Rangers wasn't even out then. That happened in 94.
I can't remember if Power Rangers was out, but I know for sure X-Men was out by 93 because I was on that. So Yes, that's true. Maybe we needed a little bit more entertainment. And again, I do think that we listen to albums much differently in 93 than we listen to today in many, many ways over. But even back then, I mean, as I said, I didn't get this album in 93. I probably didn't hear it till 96 or so. But even then, I loved it. But I did think it was a little too long.
Let me talk about another album here. Jodeci, Diary of a Madman. And Tom, you just listened to this album the other day. And
I revisited, yep.
And like, to me, right, this is my opinion on it. I feel like the first 5 songs, you have My Heart Belongs to You, Fiendin', Cry for You. I think What About Us is in there, Ride and Slide. Like, that 5 is amazing. The second half of the album, when they start doing up-tempo stuff, like, I've never gone to Jodeci for the up-tempos, but that slow mid-tempo, undefeated.
Those are some of the best R&B ballads we got of the decade.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they couldn't match it with their up-tempo stuff. I see what you're saying with the second half of the album.
Yeah.
But, man, Ed, those were some timeless jams right there.
I agree with Kyle on this one. Kyle, I got to give you props. I think the sequencing on this one does it justice because that first half is great, but it does lose a little bit of steam. This is another album that people celebrate as a flawless piece of work, and I think it's great with timeless songs on it, but I don't think it's a flawless album. It might be their best album. I think I, in fact, said it was their best album, but I don't think it's flawless because of what you just said. But overall, when you think about Jodeci, to me, it's not the debut. It's not the third album. This is the album. This is the signature album for me.
I don't think it's flawless either, actually.
No.
And that Jodecidal Hotline skit freaked me out, too.
Oh, yeah. That I don't know what y'all were doing with that one, player.
That's Missy Elliott moaning in the back. Did you guys know that?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, I think you're right. Yes.
She was getting
her creepy.
She was getting her freak on early on, guys.
Oh, yeah, those 90s interludes. And those, I mean, I know we're not talking about hip hop, but I will be so glad that we move beyond the 90s sex interludes. I do not want to hear people having fake sex on my rap albums. Go away.
Well, 2 points I want to make here about the record Cry for You, which I think is one of Jodeci's best records. Number one, the music video, they're in a desert in leather. Like, that doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen.
That's 90s for you, player.
And that was super cool. And then the other part of it is, if you're on YouTube right now and you search Cry for You and you type in Justin Timberlake, he covered that song with JC Chasez and the Mickey Mouse Club back in 1993-94 when they were just kids. So that lets you know how big R&B was at that time. Disney artists were covering Jodeci.
Yes, that's what we've talked about before. It was mainstream. It sounds crazy today, but like R&B was a big part of mainstream media at the time. So I don't think I know that. I have to go check that out.
You got to go check that out.
A couple comments I want to address here.
Yeah.
Our boy Slick Partner loved Jodeci, but they never had a no skip album.
True.
Shaquille Perry says their debut has one of the best opening 6-song stretches in all the 90s. Tar Heels fan said this was a solid album. And the comment I wanted to address the most was right here. Theo Sullivan Brandon, when you put on My Heart Belongs to You, how can you not get goosebumps?
True.
Ed, when was the last time you got goosebumps from a modern day R&B song?
What? I haven't gotten goosebumps since 1999. What are you talking about?
Wow.
I can't think of the last time I got some good goosebumps. When's the last time my girl Kelly Price hit us with some vocals?
It's been a while.
Yeah, maybe it was.
There was that Jeremiah song, wasn't there?
Don't tell.
Mute his mic. Mute his mic.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Oh my God.
Well, hold on. That we had a fan in here last week saying J-Lo was the second best vocalist in the 90s or something. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that. I'm trying to forget that. She said she was just joking, though. We'll move.
Yeah,
on.
it was. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Mariah Carey, Music Box. I think this is the one with Dream Lover on it.
Yep.
Had a Babyface record, Never Forget You. Not my favorite Mariah album, but there are some decent songs on here.
Yeah, this is a good album that I feel like isn't mentioned much today because we're in this weird part of Mariah's career where a lot of younger fans don't really go back to revisit. Like if you were a big fan of Mariah, like early Mariah, like this is the Mariah you remember. But a lot of younger fans are kind of like Butterfly and Mimi and going forward. And we kind of skipped those early albums pre-Daydream. And this was a solid album, and it's a little bit more poppy than the Mariah that we would get to know in later years. So I think that's why it kind of flies by some radars.
Yeah.
But it's a solid album for sure. One of her best.
I was about to mention, I think this was pre R&B Mariah, especially Dream Lover. I think Hero was a single on here. I didn't think she took the step to R&B until the next album.
Yeah.
But I didn't really pay this one a lot of attention.
Would you guys consider Hero to be, because we've talked about this before, I think We Belong Together, the Christmas song, Always Be My Baby, those are like her signature records. Is Hero on that list as well? Is it grouped with that? Her signature record?
For me, it is. Yeah. I can understand why. I would see why people would say it's not, because again, it's almost like a tale of two Mariahs. Any Mariah before Daydream seems to a lot of it seems to be lost. I see it a lot even with Jay-Z with like his stuff pre-Blueprint. People are kind of like, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
But again, if you were around in 93, 94, you know how ever present. I never want to hear Hero again because it got so played out. But as far as a signature record for her, no question it was significant. I would say that it was one of her signature songs, even though it doesn't really get the love it deserves today. Good song, but I don't want to hear it no more, ever.
Now, we got to give a quick shout out here to Babyface, 1993. He was on to something. He had his own album, Coolin' You. He had the Tevin Campbell second album. Guys, can I say this? Those 3 singles that he did on there, I'm Ready, Can We Talk, and Always in My Heart. Ed, Tom, those 3 are some of the best songs that you'll find from 90s R&B. Phenomenal album.
Oh yeah. Again, if y'all weren't around, it's hard to describe how big Tevin Campbell was. Oh my goodness. It's crazy that he was as big as he was in 93. But then like by 96, it was kind of like a non-factor, unfortunately. But yes, those Babyface records were huge. And not only were those records huge for Tevin, Babyface dropped what many people consider like one of his better albums. Some people say it's his best. I think, Tom, you said it was your favorite. So we've got that. And then we'll talk about Toni in a minute. By far, he ran 93 with that. Through his pen, he ran 93.
Shout out to Daryl Simmons as well, his writing partner. There's a album cut on here I absolutely love. I don't know if you guys know this one, but Lady Lady. It's probably my favorite song.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
And that wasn't even a single.
Fantastic song. Ed, a couple more albums I want to touch on here. Just give me your thoughts on it. We have Johnny Gill. We have Belle Biv DeVoe. So a couple of new edition people. And we have ABC, Ed, another bad creation.
ABC. Yes, ABC. Wow. We laugh at ABC. They in 93, the ladies were singing some ABC all on the school bus for sure. I remember all those. ABC, we know like BBD. I won't get into that. I respect BBD for what they do. I was never a huge BBD fan. I was a huge Johnny fan, and I do love this album. All 3 of those albums were significant throughout the year. I probably wouldn't put them in my top 3, maybe not even my top 10. But they aren't bad albums at all. It's just how high the bar was set here in 93.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, is it even possible for Belle Biv DeVoe, no matter what they put out, to match the success of Poison? Like, they're competing against themselves at that point.
It's unfortunate because they have a lot of other great songs, but that's the one that, I mean, credit to them. They have a song that's always going to be in rotation.
Yeah, it's
hard. A lot of artists don't get that. That timeless record that's played at every party, every wedding. But yeah, they can't top that one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, it's a Thriller effect, player. You will never be able to top it. It's a Thriller effect, the Illmatic effect, whatever you want to call it. It's so good, you'll never beat it, no matter how good you do.
I got to mention this album here, Toni. They dropped an album in 1993, and this to me is one of the most underrated. I think it needs to be talked about a little more. I know it's critically acclaimed, but people don't talk about this album today.
I think a lot of the albums we're discussing today are extremely underrated, again, because I feel like 93 is a little bit ahead of the conversations that we talk about. And that's why I was glad we were talking about 93 and 92, because they set the stage for the 95s and 96s and 97s that you see celebrated all the time on social media. But this album arguably is their best album.
I think so, yeah.
And for sure is one that is not mentioned enough. Even honestly, it's like I feel like I need to talk more about Toni, because I don't talk about them enough on Soul and Stereo. We talk about Raphael Sadiq and all the stuff that he does, but as a group, Toni was huge. And this album was another one that just set the pace for the decade.
It's unfortunate because when I think about this group, I know they debuted in the late 80s with their first album, but they're never really mentioned alongside the top groups because a lot of their success was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it's because they don't have Sadiq to be a part of the celebration, that he's not there to wave the flag for the group. And unfortunately that it gets lost in the cracks when we talk about the best groups from the 90s. So, they definitely deserve more love.
I mean, Ed, songs like If I Had No Loot, Anniversary, Lay Your Head on the Pillow. Like those are some great songs.
Yeah.
Anniversary and Pillow. I was never that big fan of If I Had No Loot, but the other two for sure I wore out. So I'm a huge fan. And again, man, you're getting me convicted in my soul, as the church would say. I feel like I need to do an album ranking or something. I got to show my boys love because we don't talk about them enough.
So go check out that album, Sons of Soul. I think it's time we get into the rookies here.
Yes.
Wow.
I think we're speeding through this, but we've got a lot to talk about here. I'm going to name out the rookies from the collage here. We have Escape, Toni Braxton, Joe, Intro, H-Town, Aaron Hall, UNV, Tisha Campbell, and the man we're not allowed to speak about.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that rookie class though?
But hold on. I had someone tell me that this is not even his debut album because we're supposed to count the album that he has out with Public Enemy. Or Public Announcement, sorry.
Public Enemy. No, he wasn't with Flavor Flav.
That would be cool.
I don't.
Do you guys count that?
No, that's dumb. That's like saying that the Fugees album is Lauren's debut album. Like that's a group effort. Like that doesn't count to me.
Yeah. So I just named a couple of albums here. Let's get into it. Let's get into Toni Braxton's album first here. Ed has gone on record to say that this is one of the greatest albums of all time, from top to bottom.
Wow. I said what I said.
Apparently, it's perfect.
Oh boy,
better than Secrets. Apparently,
I said what I said.
And one of the best debut albums of all time too. Is this all true, Ed?
Said.
Wow,
it's every bit is true. Like jokes aside, like I love this album. I think that it's, when it comes to all of the things that check the box. And when y'all ask me, oh, you never give anything 5 stars, what takes 5 stars? Look at the boxes that's checked. I love the runtime. I love the sequencing. I love the level of songwriting. We talked about Babyface earlier. I love the emotional performances. She's not singing in the same freaking tone through every song on the album. There are ups and downs, peaks and valleys, emotion in her voice. And the writing is great. I already talked about the writing. The writing is great. And we just have legendary singles that came from this. Songs that when you think of Toni, you think of 7 Whole Days, and you think of Breathe Again, and you think of Love Should Have Brought You Home. All of these are in one album. This is one album. This isn't some playlist somebody slapped together. This is one album, one body of work. For sure, her best album.
Kyle,
amazing.
Can we do an impromptu challenge for Ed?
Okay.
Ed, with this being one of the greatest albums of all time, I would like you on the spot, in order, to name each song on the album.
Oh, please. No, I can't do that.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's disappointing.
No.
There's 12 songs. You can't name them in order?
No, I can't name them. I could probably name them randomly, but I certainly couldn't name them in order.
Ladies and gentlemen, credibility gone.
Well, first of all, I know you two could name 3 in order.
No.
Ooh, man.
Tom, Escape's debut, Just Kicking It, big song. But you know what's impressive about this album is that JD, at the age that he was, he pretty much wrote this whole album by himself. I mean, Candy eventually goes on to be a great writer in her own right, but JD did this by himself. That's something to acknowledge here.
This is his first album he put out after Kid and Play. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, I mean, shout out to JD for having the intuitiveness to find another artist, make the move to a female group. And I mean, his songwriting and production has always been underrated, in my opinion. And this is a perfect example of that.
I just listened to this album. I meant to hit you up, Kyle, because I've last week, I started playing this game. Shout out to my old heads in the house, Earthbound on Super Nintendo. I've never played it before. So I'm like playing Earthbound for the first time. And while I'm playing it, I'm trying to get back in my 90s mood set. So I'm playing this debut album because I hadn't heard it in years and years. I'm just letting it play while I'm wandering around and fighting random monsters or whatever. And I'm like, man, this is a debut album. And it's so well crafted for a debut album. And we've talked before how we don't give Escape enough love and how consistent they've been from day one. And as a debut project, this is very, very, very well done.
Shout out to, I see a comment here on Instagram, La Vida Lizzie. Love the knowledge on this live. We know our stuff. We love R&B. We know R&B. We're not just going to come on here making stuff up. That's what we do. So we appreciate you tuning in.
Yep. Tom, can we talk about Joe's album? Did you know this was Joe's debut album?
I found out later on in life, if we're being honest. Listen, I was 9 in 1993. Okay. You expect me to know Joe Thomas's debut album, but in all seriousness,
I respect the honesty.
In all seriousness, I really paid attention to it probably about 10 years ago when I interviewed RL, and he was raving about this album. I don't know why it came up, but he's like, "Oh, no one even knows it's Joe's debut album. It came out in '93." RL, I love you, man, but I don't get the album. I don't get the love for the album. I don't love this album, and I love Joe. And
I got to disagree with you, player. I'm with RL. I like this album a whole lot. I think this is by far his most underrated album. It's not his best. I'm not saying it's his best by any means, but easily, I mean, Joe has a lot of albums. I would easily say top 5. Like, it's a very underlooked album. If you're listening, if you're watching, and you haven't heard this album, check it out. A lot of it holds up today. I checked it out. Maybe I re-listened to it about 4 or 5 months ago. It's still solid, y'all.
It's just crazy because Joe debuted at this time, and up until like 2016, he was still consistently putting out music. Not a lot of artists from this era can really say that, but Joe kept it going for a long time. I know he's like semi-retired now.
Don't worry, guys. After I finish interpreting that D'Angelo Voodoo album, this Joe album is the next on my list.
Oh my God. All right. At least this one I can give you props for. I still can't crack the code of Voodoo. I've left that one alone. But this one is hot.
All right. A couple of groups I want to talk about here. Intro, which might have like the best album of the 90s.
Player. Yes. Wow. This is the best album y'all have not heard. I promise you. I promise you. Check this one out too.
Let Me Be the One is such a jam. I still play that like every day.
Come Inside is a great song too.
I mean, The Ribbon in the Sky. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like you cannot touch. Vocally, those brothers were killing it.
Yeah, their cover of that Stevie song is like probably the best cover I've heard.
And when Stevie shows up in the video, you know that it's serious.
Yeah. H-Town. Ed, don't you love the song Knocking the Boots?
Oh my God. I can say at 93, I was just kind of I was a fan of the mainstream. I wasn't super hardcore fan, but I knew this song, and this song got on my nerves because for whatever reason, the song has always kind of irked me. And I had friends, I guess 93 was like 7th or 8th grade, and people would just like play the song really loud because they knew it would drive me nuts. Like, this song is whack, leave me alone. I can't stand it. I don't know why it just rubs me the wrong way. It's not a poorly performed song or poorly sung song. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. You would be led to believe that groups like H-Town and even like High Five are one-hit wonders. Ed, is that the way you view it?
That's always how it's portrayed because people only stick to the one hit. So it's like H-Town, Knocking the Boots. So they're one-hit wonders because I only remember one song. Player, Wikipedia is free. Go up there and you will see that they have plenty of top 10 songs, even beyond the ones that you forgot about. Like, I mean, They Like It Slow, the thin line between love and hate, Emotions. Yeah. I might not love Knocking the Boots at all, but not Escape. H-Town has plenty of hits, and they definitely aren't one-hit wonders. Neither is Montel. Neither are some of these other folks y'all pick on.
Yo, that Knockin' the Boots song, though, that's one of them records you can hear the first 3 seconds of it, and you know what song it is.
You know exactly what it is.
That
run the other way.
That is that's an impressive feature. And Ed, we have UNV.
UNV. I never thought we'd have a podcast where we talk about UNV.
I love how Ed's voice changes when he mentions these groups. He
gets excited.
Yes, I get so hyped because this is like my era. I get so hyped.
All right. And the last one we'll talk about here, 2 albums here. I got to ask this. So we have Aaron Hall and we have the Chocolate Factory Man.
Same person?
Yeah.
Same style of music?
That's what I want to know, Ed. In 1993, were people saying, hold up, why does R. Kelly sound exactly like Aaron Hall? Why do they have similar style music? Like, bring it back to 1993.
Yes, they were. And I know people will say, and I'm telling you, I was in the classrooms when these conversations were happening. You know that Spider-Man meme where the 2 Spider-Men are pointing at each other?
Oh.
Yes.
The 1993 version was Aaron Hall and you know who. Because Aaron Hall, as we know, was an established artist through Guy doing his thing. And then here's this young guy who was just coming on the scene who suddenly looks exactly like him and kind of sounds like him and kind of doing his thing. And he went on to have a big career. But let's not front on my man Aaron, because this album was pretty big and it's pretty good too. And it's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's housed on this one too. I love I Miss You. So
that song is so sad.
I love it.
That's
though.
the saddest song alert, guys.
So sad.
Saddest.
And the video is even worse. So yes, it's awful. But
that dude was
But
let me ask you one thing though.
People were like, "What's going on with these 2 guys looking exactly the same?"
Are you saying R. Kelly went bald on purpose to emulate Aaron Hall?
Well, seeing that he had hair on the later album, I think so. Yes, he shaved that thing, dog.
Wow.
He suddenly have cornrows for the TP2.
And then speaking of R. Kelly, the 12 play album, I can't think of an album that's referenced more than this album from R&B songs today. Like they always reference the 12 play album.
Because it's so influential. I mean, I know we're going to get a bunch of crap for daring to mention his name, but we're talking about this from a historical perspective. And if you're talking about the history of R&B in 93, you got to mention the man. We can talk wherever else about who he's sleeping with or where he's sleeping now in jail. So the point is, this album was extremely influential for male artists, and we can especially see his impact even today. So yeah, even though he copy and pasted my other man, he went on to build on that to build a career. And this was the start of his dominance of the 90s. I've called him the biggest male artist of this decade. And it started right here.
How many stars is this album, Ed?
I think it's not perfect. I think I only gave it like 4. It's good though.
Wow.
It's good, but it's not perfect.
All right. I think that concludes our discussion on the rookies for 1993. Sorry, I drew a blank there. I thought we were talking about 2021 R&B.
Well, that's why you drew a blank.
Yes. So we'll get Ben in here now. Ben Cromwell, longtime supporter of the site. I hope he can connect. We had some technical difficulties earlier, but Ben,
I'm here.
All right, we got to get your video in here now. So let me try to get you in here.
Can I give Ben Cromwell a proper introduction?
Yes. Ben, I just sent the video, so when you're ready.
All right.
So while he's doing that, I'm going to eat the Starburst here.
What the heck?
Are you eating 2? That looked like more than 1.
Well, it comes in 2. I have a pink one and a pink one. That's that's R&B right there. Hold on, Ben.
Pink Starburst sounds like a R&B song.
Frozen.
Ben, we can't see your face. Your camera's off.
Ed, in the meantime, 1993.
Frozen, dog.
Snow Informer.
Frozen, dog.
Ed.
Say what, Tom?
Snow Informer.
Oh my God! I thought you were talking about Snow Allegra. You're talking about Snow Informer.
That's a 5-star song right there.
You talk about the precursor of mumble rap. It started right here.
My.
Snow and Informer.
Wow. All right, Ben, we're trying to get you in here.
I guess Ben he's going to get to partake in our chicken wing discussion since we got extra time here.
I guess so.
Ben, are you still there?
I think Ben has vanished.
I'm going to boot him out.
Snow Allegra is overrated. I see a comment. Wow. I'm ducking for cover.
Oh my gosh. Leave Snow alone. She's perfectly fine. I liked her last album.
All right. I just booted him out.
It's no intro, but it'll do.
All right. So I'll ask a question while we get Ben back in here.
All right.
Have we talked about chicken wings already?
No,
we haven't.
The only thing we talked about is Pink Starburst, apparently your new hit single off your mixtape.
That's the only reason I showed up to this episode, to talk about chicken wings. So let's get it on.
So I have a question for you guys here.
Okay.
While we wait for Ben. Of these 4 types of chicken wings, which is the best? Wet, grilled, dry, or crispy?
Show the picture, Kyle. Hold the picture up.
I don't know if they can see it though. Maybe they can.
Hold closer.
Not that close.
There we go.
Okay, right there.
Hold it for all right. All right.
Which is the best out of the 4? Which one's got to go? Let's go with that.
Well, no. We got to go with which one's the best. All right. Because I think 3 of them got to go, but that's just my opinion.
3 of them got to go. Well, go ahead. Tom, go, because I know we're going to argue about this.
First of all, is there anything wrong with eating a chicken wing with a napkin? Like holding it with a napkin while you're eating it?
I mean, I guess if you're going to have your pinky in your ear while you're eating it too.
Listen, I don't know where the closest restroom is where I got to wipe myself down after I eat this, because chicken wings are a messy situation.
So now I figure little boost the napkin.
You just pick it up with the napkin, and then you just chew, gracefully, and then you're done.
Tom, how long does it take you to eat chicken wings? Because this sounds like an all-day affair.
I've showed you the pictures of me eating chicken wings, and the thing doesn't even really get taken apart. It's half of it is left.
I was offended. If you have not seen Tom's chicken wings, imagine a wing, and it looks like a little baby chipmunk nibbled on the edge and then threw the wing away. That wing is 90% meat. There are starving children that would devour the rest of that chicken.
Listen, I just move on to the next one.
Now, at first he was Boosie, now he's Jay-Z. That song is terrible too.
I don't throw it on the floor. Remember I asked you guys if it's okay to throw it on the floor? Do you see that where you're from?
Yes, I don't throw it on the floor. By your answer.
Welcome to New York.
I dispose of it properly. All right.
Well, I hope so, because you ain't eating it properly.
Tom,
anyway, getting back to Kyle's question,
yes.
I am all for any chicken wing except wet, because I don't like gooiness on my hand. I'm not holding it with catcher's mitts like Tom to eat, because I'm not a weirdo, and I'm not taking a nibble and throwing it on the floor for the New York Mets pick up or whatever you're talking about. Where is Ben? I'm getting worked up.
Yeah.
Listen, Kyle, what's your take?
I'm like that 112 album. I'm hot. I like it hot, and I like it wet.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
This time is.
Where's Ben?
Time to hit mute.
What you guys need to try is Korean fried chicken. Ed, do you know what this is?
I don't think I know what this is.
It's a combination of crispy and saucy.
Oh, no. It's shout out to the homie Cassandra. I think she just made some the other day and posted it on Instagram. I think I just saw that. It looks good. I haven't had it. It looks good.
I don't know where Ben is. He said he's...
You know what I'm actually curious about? I'm curious if our boy Damon Dunn has ever eaten chicken wings. That 15-year-old.
I don't. That's a good question. Where's Damon? Have you had chicken wings? Let us know in the comments.
Damon, I want to hear from you.
Now the real question is: once we publish this on YouTube, am I editing this part out? Or
no, you keeping in this in, bro.
I'm reading the comments. People find this more interesting than. Never mind. I'm biting my tongue on that one.
You better.
But anyway, my answer is grilled for the win. You got to go healthy. You got to go sanitary. At least I didn't say I ate it with a fork. All right.
Well, I was waiting for you to say that you used a fork and knife for it.
That's not even possible, though. If it was possible, I'd probably do it.
I think it is.
If there was a way, Tom's going to make it work. Trust.
But do you know what's a real skill? If you can put the whole chicken wing in your mouth and clean it and spit it back out.
What is this, a Looney Tunes cartoon? That's not possible.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it might be.
We'll
do it on the next podcast. I'll get some wings for us.
I will make sure to turn my camera off for that.
Our boy Shaquille Perry had Asian Zing from Buffalo Wild Wings last week. There you go. Buffalo Wild Wings. That's
I haven't
underrated.
been to D-Dub since the quarantine. I need to go through.
I only eat the boneless wings there. I mean, the bone is just too much work, guys. I mean, if you think about it.
This is lazy connoisseur of chicken. Like, what you eat around, that's part of the delivery. Do you not eat crab legs too? Like, that's part of the experience. The cracking and the pulling and the slurping and the moving and the throwing.
I don't want to have to work for my meal. When I'm ready to eat, I'm ready to eat.
You're not going to the slaughterhouse to kill them and skin them. You're just eating them at the end. Not that much work.
All right. Someone on YouTube said Tom has officially ruined the chicken conversation.
He is, yes. Yeah. Tom ruins them all.
There's got to be someone out here who agrees with me and eats like me. I will find that person.
Darius says he agrees with you. He feels you for whatever reason. Now I got to be mad at my boy.
You guys
you see? Bring him back on. Let's go. I like that guy.
All right. Well, I don't know where Ben is. He's reading my DMs, but he's not replying. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to go on without him. Ben, if you happen to join in at any point, we'll add you back on. But we've got things to do. So we're going to start off with the rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind, Kyle? Do you mind running through the names again through the collage?
Certainly. I have to open the collage first, but we'll get to it. All right. So we have Escape, Toni Braxton, Joe, Intro, H-Town, Aaron Hall, UNV, Tisha Campbell, and the man we're not allowed to speak about.
I'm going to go with, this is a tough one. We got to go with Toni Braxton on this one. I mean, of all the ones we've named, that's probably the one I'd put up there as the best rookie. It wasn't easy, but
yeah,
I wanted to pick Joe just because we love Joe and he's the most popular artist on our site, but I just can't. Sorry, RL, we still love you, man.
Ed?
I gotta go. There's really only one answer. We're this between two, and not using, again, I think it's unfair to use hindsight and to say, okay, so-and-so is a big deal now, so they were the rookie then. I have to look at it with a 1993 frame of reference, and using 1993 frame of reference has got to be my girl, Toni. The other guy comes very, very close, but I would think that 93, it was just her year. She was the biggest. She was the brightest, so got to go with Toni.
I'm going to actually have to go with the other guy because I feel like, well, when you look back at it now, Bump and Grind, is there a record as big as Bump and Grind from Toni's debut?
No.
Because Bump and Grind, let me say this. Up until 3 years ago, Bump and Grind was still being played regularly. Now, I don't think anyone plays that song, but.
Well, no, not unless you want to get booed out of the arena. But to be fair, though, I mean, I do think that those are songs for different settings, if you know what I'm saying. I feel like that one does resonate a little bit more in pockets than others than Toni's would. It's pretty close. Pretty close. I won't argue against them.
All right. So we're still waiting on Ben here. I don't think he's going to join us, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
No, he doesn't. He's fallen back into the wilds of Canada, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll get him next
week.
from
Canada?
He's from Canada.
Wow. What part? Do you know?
Nova Scotia. He's from the other side of Canada.
Oh. The other side. I got friends in Nova Scotia. Give them some respect.
I don't know. There's 4 people that live there.
Yeah, well, I know 2 of them. Yeah, Ben and my boy Luke James. Not the singer.
Wait, Luke James?
Commenters.
No, not the singer. Shout out my boy, though.
Can I mention something about Luke James? Me and Kyle were in New Orleans at Essence Festival.
Oh.
We randomly asked our taxi driver if he ever heard of Luke James, because Luke James is from New Orleans, and he said no. He said no.
That does not surprise me.
And then this is drunk facts, because we were drunk at the time. I asked if he knew August Alsina. He also said no.
Well, at least he's smart.
So,
all
right.
You notice everybody I don't like ends up being a terrible person.
Luke James is not a terrible person.
I like Luke James. I'm talking about August. I'm talking about the dude that shot Megan. What's his name? Tory Lanez.
Oh, yes.
Jeez.
From Canada.
List, never undefeated. Yes, all you Canadians are on something.
All right. Let's do our favorite 3 albums of 1993. I hope you guys have the collage up. If not, I'll read it out to you guys one more time here. Babyface, Johnny Gill, Jodeci, Toni, Belle Biv DeVoe, Mariah Carey, Tevin Campbell, Janet Jackson, Another Bad Creation, as well as those rookies that we mentioned earlier. So, Tom, I will start with you here. Your favorite 3. What is number 3?
Was this the year that Mary J's What's the 411 remix album came out?
It was.
That is true. Yep.
Can that make it in somehow? I would love to put that in there.
I think it does. It's like a completely different album.
You can count that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I gotta slide that into my number. I'll put it at number 3, just for the heck of it. I know we didn't talk about it, but I like that one. I mean, a lot of it is similar to the original. Obviously, it's remixes, but man, I love that one. I played that one alongside the original.
Ed?
I told you guys off air that like a lot of times with these top 10s or top 3s or whatever, like I can easily come up with a 5 and then narrow it down. I did a list of like 11, and it's like it's impossible to narrow down. My number 1 is number 1. My number 2 is a little safe, but number 3 could be like between anything. So I'm gonna go as of right now. Right now, I could be swayed a million different ways. I'm gonna go with Tevin. I'm gonna go with Tevin's second album one day.
Wow. My number 3, I'm gonna go with Intro. To me, one of the most underrated debut albums of R&B history.
Agreed.
Great singles, and man, just a fantastic album. So I'm gonna go with Intro number 3. Tom, number 2.
Babyface unfortunately doesn't make the cut. I'm gonna have to put Janet in there. I'm looking at the track list. The song Anytime, Any Place, 7 minutes and 9 seconds. I mean, who has the attention span these days to listen to a song that long?
No, you can't do that anymore.
No.
Regardless, for what the album is, though, classic. So that's my number 2.
All right. Ben says he's still trying to get back. I don't think we can get him back.
Get him in here. I got to give that guy his proper shout out.
I don't see. We might have to bring him for the next episode. I don't see him in here. Ed, number 2.
Number 2. I gotta agree with the Chicken Man. What's going on in life?
Chicken Man.
Yes, I gotta go with Janet for my number 2. I mean, the transition from New Jack Swing, the pop sound, to this more soulful release, I think it stands the test of time. One of her most, I don't think it's her best album, but one of her most remembered and beloved album for sure. So the Janet album, lowercase with the period, number 2.
I just got called out, meanwhile, by Tar Heels fans saying I didn't have 3 albums to name. That's why I had to put the remix album in there.
Oh,
listen, Tar Heels fan, you know we love you, man, and you support us, but Babyface was my number 3 until I booted him for that remix album. So listen, I know my 93 R&B. Chill.
My number 3 will have to be Toni Braxton. I love that album. I don't think it's better than Secrets. But I would say sequencing wise, the debut is better from that aspect. So yeah, I'm going to go with Toni Braxton. Babyface and L.A. Reid really did their thing. So Toni Braxton is my number 2, which brings us back to Tom, the Chicken Man. What is your number 1?
Let me ask you guys something. Will we ever have another Babyface and L.A. Reid type of situation?
I don't think so. I do not.
That's so rare and so epic. If you, just to think about it. I mean,
I'm trying to think who else did that. Like,
no,
JD did that.
But recently. Like recent.
Yeah, I'm thinking of in the past decade and a half. Who has come close to that?
DJ Mustard.
No. Man, get your...
We're talking about production, songwriting, and I'm talking about like some of the best ever. You know, and then also jumping on artists early, having their own label. Like it's a whole situation.
I cannot think of an artist or a team or a writer who has produced the amount of hits consistently over decades of time that Babyface has done. It is unprecedented.
So just wanted to throw that out there because it came to me. But as far as my number one, I think I'm going to have to go with The Boys. I just listened to this album, Jodeci. I don't think it's a flawless album, but I think it has the songs that, to me, stand the test of time more than some of the others. As you know, like we said, the first four, untouchable. So I'm putting Jodeci's album at number one.
Tom, I'm reading a couple comments here. People said Timbaland and Polo the Dawn were able to do it.
Nuke.
Someone said the Neptunes.
You would probably agree, but nuke.
London on the Track for Summer Walker.
Oh, wow. No. Jonathan B, he's banned.
I'm about to choke on my own Starburst, and I'm not even eating one.
Wow. Ed, what's your number one?
Man,
Can we address that Neptunes real quick? Because the Neptunes are more known for the production. I mean, certainly they took on Khalees and they helped put her out and a couple other artists, but
No, I don't think they developed a superstar. That was the problem with Timbaland and the Neptunes is their hits on other artists were always bigger than the ones that they put on their own.
And that's it. I mean, you can make the case for Timbaland as far as guiding, like elevating the career of Aaliyah or elevating a Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
But it's just different. There was no talent like a Toni Braxton who was groomed to superstardom from jump. I love Tim, but he didn't. Who did he? Bubba Sparks? Like it didn't happen.
Nope.
It didn't happen.
Your boys.
My boys?
One Republic.
My boys, One Republic.
You see how quiet it got?
Because we were astounded by your ridiculousness. Go find more Starburst to eat.
All right.
Halloween candy and gum in your brain.
Hold on. London on the Track. Is this I'm still shaking my head. And Summer Walker. Come on.
It was my boy Jonathan. He's playing. I hope he's playing.
And no disrespect. But.
Can we get a London on the Track tag here?
No, we cannot.
We got London on the Track.
The worst tag. The worst. Oh. That's why if you're more worried about your tags than your content, that's a problem.
Miss Jade. You forgot Miss Jade. Ching ching.
Listen, Miss Jade's album was great.
Yes.
Go check that out.
Same with Bubba.
Yes, Bubba's second album was incredible. Yes. I will stand by that. But can we talk about 1993 R&B?
Did you name your number one already?
No, because we started talking about One Republic for some reason.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, got to talk. I mean, obviously, if you know me, you know my number one. But I got to shout out Jodeci. I got to shout out Face. I got to shout out Mariah. I got to shout out Aaron Hall and the other guy, and Joe and Intro. So many great albums. But no, it can only be one number one. And that is Miss Toni Braxton. One of the best albums of the entire decade in 1993.
But you had your rookie and your number one the same, so.
Yeah, I cheated. I don't care.
All right.
Hold on. It gets worse. Summer Walker won Album of the Year at the Soul Train Awards, so we should be respecting her.
Oh, excuse me.
Let me speak into the camera real quick. Tar Heels fan, award shows are rigged, bro. Don't believe what they're telling you on there.
You mean to tell me Doja Cat isn't the biggest R&B artist of the 2020s?
Oh,
that's what I heard from an award show. They taught me that.
We still love you, man. We're just messing with you.
Can we focus? Can I get to my number one?
Yes, we can, because this is completely off the rails.
Yeah. So I've saved this last Starburst intentionally for this whole episode to announce my number one, because I got to give so much respect to my guy, Devontae Swing, for his work on the song My Heart Belongs to You. Undoubtedly one of the greatest R&B songs of all time. for that reason alone, even though I said earlier that I don't like the up-tempos on that album, that first song, I think Fiendin' is one of the best songs of all time too. Yeah. Devontae, this is for you. Jodeci, Diary of a Madman, number 1. Bam.
What does Starburst have to do with this?
I don't know why I'm here.
The Jodeci, Starburst, they both make me happy.
What is going on?
I don't know.
I almost feel like
that's crazy. Hold on.
Episode.
This is pink, but it tastes like watermelon. That's weird.
I think how long have you had that Starburst? It's starting to turn, player.
It might be. If I don't make it to the next episode, Ben, you got to cover for me.
I almost feel like next episode we should all eat chicken wings live on the air in our own style.
That will be the shortest episode we have ever seen.
All right. I'll let Ben know that he'll join us next time.
All right.
So I think that's it for this week. 1993 is complete. We've got one more.
I hope so.
We got one more year to go. We're going to talk about 1992. And then we're done. We're going to talk about something else. But
we're done.
We'll find something else to talk about. But Ed, what's going on with soulandstereo.com?
I can tell you at soulandstereo.com, you can check us out where we won't be talking about chicken or Starburst because that's the blackest thing I've heard on this podcast all day. But you can check out my ranking of my man Cameron's album. For some random reason, Cameron came up. So I had to shout out to your boy from NY, Tom. So I'm ranking his whole discography, which is pretty underrated, by the way, jokes aside. Check that out. Check out my man Brick, who is joining the Soul and Stereo fam. He will be doing some reviews of some emerging hip-hop artists, and he starts with the homie Peacemaker. His EP is out, so he'll be doing a review of that. And my girls, King, We Are King, are back. I've got their new single, Space Oddity. That's up on the site as well. So check out their tribute to David Bowie. I don't know what I have next week, but it'll be something. Check it out.
Nice.
A few comments here I would love to address. What about 1991, guys?
1991. I was 1 year old. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, I feel like it's starting to get a little bit out of my homie's age range when we hit that far. So
yeah,
but maybe we might surprise you. We'll see.
Damon Dunn says don't bring him on the chicken winning episode. It would be 5 hours long. I don't know.
Yes.
What does that mean? He doesn't know how to eat a chicken wing?
No, I think he'll be on. He is my son after all. He'll be chicken winging us all under the table.
Watch These wants to know, is Kyle drinking Snoop wine low key? I'd say yes.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
I don't have any right now, but next week I might.
And someone wrote fruity R&B. That's in response to your Jodeci and Starburst comment, Kyle.
Jodeci is not fruity R&B. That is like the
fruity
opposite.
R&B.
That is the opposite of fruity R&B.
I don't even want to touch that.
Jodeci had machetes, guys. They were machetes, leather boots. I could go on and on.
And then
in the desert.
Anthony Costa said, y'all are sleeping on Genuine. 100, I guess you mean 100% Genuine is the best album. We always show Genuine love.
I love that album. I think that was my number one.
What I got to do with 1993?
He said we should have discussed it today.
Really?
It ain't 1999.
Log on to YouTube. Our episode where we discussed that is on there. So
yes, it's called 1999, homie.
We certainly praise that one.
And don't forget, when you're watching the video, don't skip the ads. We need the YouTube money.
Oh my.
I'm just kidding.
This wine is in full effect, I can tell.
Yes. Tom, what's going on with I Got Soul before we get out of here?
We're waiting for a few albums to come out. Well, Jasmine just came out with her EP. It's not an album, guys. Now I guess Robin Thicke is up next because otherwise it's been pretty slow as far as new music. So not too much to report. We've been putting a few different articles out. I've been keeping track of the whereabouts of every 90s R&B artist.
Yeah,
I've updated my articles on that. So if you want to check that out, if you're curious where everyone's been. Otherwise, just these podcasts, guys, and perfecting my chicken wing eating skills otherwise.
Oh yes. Oh
no.
And then the one thing we'll be doing after these look backs, I'm gonna put together an R&B draft. I might need a couple of you guys that are tuned in to join us for this. It'll be fun. But I think that's what's next after 1992. And then after that, I don't know what we're talking about. We
got to do 80s.
We might. We might
one episode for the whole.
We'll have one episode on the 80s. Yeah, we don't have to do the whole decade, but we do need an 80s episode.
All right, we'll talk about Freddie Jackson and the rest of them.
What in the world do you know about Freddie Jackson?
Oh.
Can we talk about Frankie Beverly and Maze?
Yes.
Wow.
There you go.
I feel like I'll just talk this whole episode. Wow. Y'all just eat chicken in the background.
All right. We'll figure that out. Guys, I appreciate you guys once again for tuning in. It's been fun. And we've been doing this for a couple months now, and it's going to continue. So you guys just stay safe. I know it's crazy out there right now. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next Saturday, same time. So take care, guys.
All right. Peace.